Hey friends, this is Colin, and today I'm going to show you how I wired my rear view camera on my 2010 Prius. In my other video, I showed you how to install an aftermarket stereo, and a lot of you were asking how I wired my backup camera, so I'm just going to show you how I did it. Here is the backup camera. It's helpful to look at a diagram before you do the install, so we have two different components. We have the camera, and we also have the aftermarket stereo or monitor or whatever you have. From the camera, at least for mine, there was an attachment right here. Yours might be fully connected. You'll have a power plug. You'll also have a video out plug. So for the power plug, the black one is to ground. I grounded it on the trunk chassis, which I'll show you. And then for the power, I connected it to a 12-volt reverse light switch behind the reverse light. And then for the video, I'll show you how I routed it, but it just connects all the way to the aftermarket stereo. Look at your diagram for your aftermarket stereo or LCD monitor, and you'll see where to plug that video backup camera input into. Or you can watch my old video and see where I plugged it in. You'll also need a 12-volt reverse signal in connection, so the monitor will know, or the aftermarket stereo will know, whether to flip this on to the backup camera whenever you're in reverse. For myself, I connected it to pin 29 by the kick panel, which I'll show you, or you can connect it from the 12-volt from the reverse light. You can connect a cable from here, somewhere in line where you plugged into the reverse light switch, and run it all the way here. Or a lot of these newer plugs, after I installed my stereo, they actually come with this red lead attachment. So this red thing, you can't really see it, but it's connected all the way through with this video plug. So you have one plug and you have the power and video on it. So this red part right here, you would connect it in line with this reverse 12-volt reverse switch. So you just do a splice or T-tap in there. And then for the other end, you would just connect this red into there. Makes it a lot easier. You only have to run one wire. That's the wiring. I'm going to show you how I did it, and then I also recorded some footage of me doing this on my friend's car, so I'll just kind of like switch interchangeably, and hopefully it's not too confusing. The first step that I did was remove these plastic panels from the back of the trunk. You see all these tabs that are in place. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You just, like right here, you can use a flathead screwdriver. There's like a little tab right there. You can put it in and then pry this out, or you can just use your hands. It's on pretty tight, so don't be shy or don't be afraid to put some force on it. But this first panel came off, and then there's also the second panel. And then we have these two side panels and the top panel right there. And all I do is just clip in to these holes in there, and you just pull that out. The next step, I used a Phillips head screwdriver. I just took off the old screws, and then I put the new camera in and tightened it on. Next, you'll probably have this wire hanging through, and you might be wondering, how do I get it through? So let me just show you. Let's go to the back. Coming to the back of the trunk, you'll see these 10mm screws. There's 4 of them, but I only needed to loosen or remove 3 of them. So there's 1, 2, and then 3. These are the 3 that I loosened, and that enables you to pull this trim piece forward so that we can fish this wire through. So once this is loose, there's this backup light right here. You would use like a flathead screwdriver and push this tab inwards, and then this whole thing just comes loose, and I was able to fish the wire through right there. So once we have those wires through, mine might be a little different than yours. I just had a single attachment which split off into the video and power inputs. You might have this, or you might have just the two. Let's talk about the power. For the ground, I just cut the wire, the black wire. I cut off a little of the end, and I just grounded it right here. For the power, the red one, I routed it all the way around. You know, it's not the cleanest job, but it's gonna be hidden by the trim. Went over here and then fit it through here. So this was actually the hardest part for me. I had to, you know, just use like you can use your hands or a flathead screwdriver, push this out, and then same thing with this. You would push this out. There's a plastic piece that kind of holds this in place. It makes it a lot difficult. Pull this weather stripping off. For the power, I fed this cable through here, through above the ceiling, routed it down back here, through this trim piece right here, and I came over here, and this is the reverse light. I spliced, soldered, and put electrical tape over it, so whenever I'm in reverse, this will receive 12 volts of power, and it'll also supply power back to the camera. This is the connection for the 12 volt source of power, going back here, through here, through here, back here, back, right there. So that's how the camera gets the 12 volt source of power. Moving on to the video, same thing. We're going from here, back here, through here, and then above the ceiling. So what I found was actually helpful was starting your video cable right here, feeding it, well, this would be loose, but you would feed this cable out, shove it through here with a flathead screwdriver. Just be very gentle, and then you can keep pulling it out and then connecting it back here. That was a lot easier because your run to the stereo is going to be a lot longer. So for the video, let me just show you how I routed it. I went from inside the dash, and then I went over here. It's hidden. I just shoved it in. And then you have two different routes. You can either go across, which is what I did, and you can see that cable right there. It's kind of ugly. You can also bring it below and come down here. Down here, beneath this trim, underneath the seat belt, continuing on the other side down this trim, and then you can feed it through here. And this isn't the wiring for that, but you would need to feed it through either underneath this piece of plastic and then fish it to the back of your stereo, or you can figure out some other way of making it look more clean, but your goal is to get it behind this stereo, getting the video in back here. The last piece is to get the 12 volt reverse signal in. So there's, I think, two ways to do it. The first way, which is what I did, is coming down here. There's this kick panel. So for myself, I think there was something here holding this in place that you would have to remove, but I don't have that. You might have to do that if you decide to go this route. You would pull the trim over here, pull that right there, and then this piece is just held on by some tabs. Just force that out. I'll fix that later, but just for this purpose, I'm going to show you where I connect it to. I see this green wire. I just T-tapped in to this red wire, and I believe it's pin number 29. I'll show a wiring diagram of it, but right here I just tapped into it. So when I'm in reverse, I get a signal, 12 volt source coming from here through this wire. Then I just fished it underneath the dash and I connected it to the back of the stereo. Another thing you can do, which I didn't have when I first bought my camera, they actually make this wire that you might be receiving. This is a video and power wire, and you would be fishing this through the entire car, and then you would attach one end. Imagine if I had this wire, you would attach this right here and then figure out how to tap into the other red wire right there. You can either splice or use a T-tap, but essentially when you get 12 volts of power, it's going to fish it through this entire line, and then at the other end of your car you're going to have this one's broken, just an example. This would be hooked in to the back of your stereo, and then you can connect this end to your reverse signal switch. So I just want to show you guys that it in fact is connected. I was doubting. It's actually a little unsure what it actually did, so let me just plug these in for you. So these are the two connections on the red end of this cable, and I'm going to turn on my multimeter to the sound, and you guys can hear it beeping. That means that there's connectivity from that wire to that wire. So you guys, if you don't want to hook in or T-tap into the kick panel, you can also attach this end to the 12 volt right here, and then attach the other end to the back of the stereo, which makes things a lot easier. So if I had this when I first installed my camera like 2 years ago, I would have done it this way. Let me just show you guys that my rear camera does work. Alright, so if I go to reverse, I can see the back. You see these guidelines right here? On the instructions it says if you cut the green wire, then these lines will go away, and then my one didn't have it, but the instructions also said if you cut the white wire, then the mirror function, you see how the image is mirrored, that will also go away. Hopefully this video was helpful. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and comment in the comment section below. Let me know if you have any questions, if you've done this, or what your experience is with this. So thanks guys, and I'll see you guys next time.